Welcome back to the Spurs DANalyst. Hope everybody's keeping well out there on a Wednesday evening. Yeah, well, a busy day today I've had. Ready to talk about Spurs and other Premiership results from the weekend. So yeah, if you're listening, thanks for joining us. Big thank you for all those who've subscribed to my channel in the past week or two. Thank you very much. And also thank you for those who have been commenting after my videos. It's been great interacting with you, and some interesting stuff has been said in the comments. So yeah, please keep it going. I will do my best to reply to as many messages as I can. So thank you. Following on from the video I put out on Sunday, if people have seen it, basically it's a bit of a kind of rally call to the fan base that I've had enough. And as the transfer window evidences, we just have not done enough to really push us on this season, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion. So I have a listen, give us your thoughts, and I think something needs to happen. If things do not work out this season, not enough progress made, then yeah, something needs to happen. And I'm up for anything to make a difference and to move this club forward. So yeah, have a listen. Today's show, I'm going to focus on the Tottenham and Everton game. I am going to discuss some other Premier League results as well, honing in a couple of games in particularly, giving my thoughts on those results. So yeah, fantastic result at the weekend for Spurs. Spurs 4, Everton 0. Yeah, it's a game which I expected to win and to score some goals, which we did. I've been kind of thinking about the game since the weekend. My first thoughts after watching the game was, what did we really learn from that game? As I said, I expected us to win. I expected us to score some goals against an Everton team who, they're not in a good moment. They didn't have the best pre-seasons, sold some players, haven't brought enough players in. So I really expected us to win that game and score goals, and they did deliver. So fair play to Spurs. So let's have a little look at the lineup. We had Vicario in goal. We had Udogie, Romero, Van der Ven, and Porro as a right back. Moving into midfield, you had Basuma back in the team after his one-game ban. You had Kulusevski and Maddison working just in front of him. Then you had a debut for Wilson, who was playing on the left. You had Brendan Johnson on the right, and Son up front. So yeah, initial reaction to that starting lineup was seeing Kulusevski in there with Maddison, kind of the two attacking 10s or 8s or whatever, it doesn't really matter, two attacking midfielders. And I thought that was a really positive move from Ange. And looking at who we're playing at home, just go for it. I much prefer in this type of game to play two attacking midfielders and not have someone, for example, a Sarr or a Bentancur or a Gray in there. It's a home game against a poor Everton side, an Everton side who just got beaten 3-0 the previous weekend. So yeah, I like that. It was brave. Seeing Johnson in there again, we'll come on to him a bit later, but it was good to see Wilson make his debut at the Tottenham Stadium. So yeah, so a good adventurous lineup. And looking at the Everton side, there was a lot about, they've only got 14 fit players before the match. And when I looked at their lineup, there was a few names in there which I didn't really know who they were. I think a new signing in Tim, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname, Igrobuman. Sorry if that was wrong. Quite a hard name to pronounce. And the young right back, I think from the academy, Roman Quinn. So yeah, there was the familiar names in there. They were missing Braithwaite at the back, of course. Ashley Young was suspended. No Seamus Coleman. But yeah, there was familiar names: Harrison, Abadola Decore, Gay, McNeil, Trudowski, Keane, obviously Pickford. So yeah, so it's familiar names playing for Everton in that team. Their bench had a few people I recognise as well: Holgate, Beto, Malpai. I don't know what's going on there. I thought he was at Brentford. Maybe he was on loan at Brentford and he's had to come back to Everton. Jesper Lindstrom. I think he's a new signing. I'm not too sure, but I don't recognise that name. So yeah, so a bit of a weakened Everton side. So yeah, we came out and we started very fast, creating chances, a couple of attempts on goal, playing attacking football, keeping Everton penned in. Yeah, we were playing well, and it wasn't long until a goal came. So yeah, so let me get the data up of when the goal actually came, the first goal. So yeah, so it was a lovely move. Kulusevski cutting inside the box, taking on people, and then he managed to pick out Basuma, and Basuma with a first-time hit, smash right underneath the crossbar. Fantastic goal. Not long after that, we had Son Heung-min closing down Jordan Pickford, and Pickford obviously clear big error there. He let the ball run off him, and Son was there. He nipped it off him and put it in the goal. So yeah, 2-0, very comfortable. We saw Wilson being busy trying to take on his man, which was good to see. I'll come on a bit more about him later. And yeah, just a really positive first half. Lots of possession, playing a high line. Everton couldn't really get out. They were really struggling and they were under the cosh. And it comes in at half-time 2-0, very comfortable. And it was important that we did get that second goal after what happened against Leicester last weekend. So yes, very happy with the first half. The second half comes. We're looking for us to score more goals, maybe see some changes come on, see some of the new young players come on and debut in their home game in the Premier League. So yeah, so that was good. Following that half, the game kind of settled down. We weren't, I would say, we were dominating, but didn't look like scoring. It was just so comfortable. Everton maybe improved a little bit in that second half, but really didn't show enough in terms of wanting to get back in that game. And then on the 71st minute, bang, Romero header. Yes, just what you wanted. It was fantastic header. Great corner from Maddison. And yeah, 3-0, game over. And not long after that, we saw our fourth goal. And this time it was Everton were attacking us. Van der Ven won the ball back and he just drove up the field. What a run that was, all the way up into the Everton penalty box. And what was so good about that run, the burners went on. Everton players are trying to close him down. He just ran right past them. And then he had the quality there to lay the ball off to Son. And Son with a really good finish through the goalie's legs. And that was it, 4-0. And yeah, fantastic. Really, 4 really good goals. Yes, Son was obviously a bit lucky, but he did really well with the closing down. So Everton really didn't show a lot at all. I'm going to pull up the match stats now and have a look at them. And let me tell you about that. Where are the match stats? Okay, so yeah, so just have a little look. Possession 70% to 30. These stats I'm looking at a little bit different to the one I was looking at the other day. I think it was more than 70. I'm gonna look at what I looked at the other day for a little bit more accuracy there. But yes, these stats say 70% Spurs, 30% Everton. Passing, we had 574 passes with an 87% accuracy, and Everton had 200 passes with a 75% accuracy. Shots on target, we had 13 shots in total in the game. 7 of them were on target. Everton had 10 shots in the game, and that was 1 on target. Our goalie had to make 1 save, and Pickford had to make 3 saves. Well, he had 7. There were 7 shots from us, and Pickford saved 3 of them. So that's the stats in a nutshell there. I wanted to talk about just a little bit more details about the game. Let me bring that up now. I made some notes. So looking at the kind of Everton's tactical setup for the match. Now, you would have thought Sean Dyche would have watched that game, Spurs game against Leicester on the Monday night. And you would have thought that he would have learned a bit about that match, because again, in the first half against Leicester, we had so many chances, scored a goal, should have been 2-3 up in that first half. Second half, Leicester changed the way they played. They pushed up higher, got a goal, and then they could have scored again. So you would have thought Everton would maybe have kind of set up a little bit similar to how Leicester did against us on the weekend. But the problem with Everton was that they were kind of playing in a 4-5-1. And their defence, it wasn't their strongest defence. There was a couple out. Not a lot of pace in that back line. And I think they were worried about the pace of Spurs. So they played this like a 4-5-1 and just let us have the ball and said, look, come on, break us down. Problem with the Everton side, if you look at their midfield and the runners from midfield, they didn't have a lot of pace. They had no speed on the break. They had players who I would say hard-working players, like I would say Dwight McNeil. He's a hard-working player. Who was the other player I was going to mention for the Everton team who's a hard-working player? Yeah, Harrison as well. Quite a hard-working player, but not a lot of pace. So say, we're coming on to Everton, we're attacking. If Everton did win the ball back and get out of our press, then they would really needed some pace to kind of for the transition and get out our defence, and they just didn't have enough pace. Looking at the Everton performers on the day and the data and the stats around who played well for Everton, Gueye was the standout performer for Everton. He made 8 tackles, made 6 ball recoveries, and he had the best passing rate out the Everton side of 85.7. Decore, who's an experienced Premier League player, had a really poor game. Normally, he prefers to play in a more defensive role, like a DM, but he was kind of more just in the central midfield. And he only touched the ball like 13 times, and he registered no defensive actions. He had a poor game and he was subbed off after 56 minutes. Dwight McNeil for Everton was one of Everton's better players, completing 6 key passes, converting 6 out of his 10 crosses, and then he had 1 chance to score. So really looking at that Everton performance, they did the kind of opposite to what Leicester did. And they did not push their team higher in the second half. And our defence had a comfortable afternoon. We did give a ball away a couple of times, a couple of loose passes. But other than that, we were pretty solid. There were some hairy moments at the end of the first half when there's a few corners coming in, and you're a little bit worried if we were going to concede by a set piece. But other than that, we were pretty comfortable for most of the game, I would say. And the Spurs defence did hold their own. And while we're talking about the Spurs defence, let's talk about the performances. And the standout performances for me were Van de Ven and Romero, both contributing to goals. Both I thought were really good that day. And they're so important to our team. And yeah, I just hope we can keep them fit and keep their form up, because they are good centre backs, both offering different strengths to the team. It's so important and to contribute to goals. And if they did it last season, and if they can continue that this season, it's so important for us. And Van der Ven, I just like, it's just like a weapon from the back, isn't it? Normally you talk about the fullback like getting forward and scoring goals, but we've got this centre back. He's very unique, so much pace, and he has got some technical ability and football intelligence to lay that pass off to Sam, which it was fantastic. Romero with his header as well taken, jumping between the two Everton centre backs. So yeah, it was really impressive. So looking at the Spurs performance, and we were kind of playing this quick passing, I would say possession-based football with the high line. You had Maddison kind of playing a little bit deeper as the curator, and then both our fullbacks were pushed up so high, playing like extra forward. So if you looked at the position of the players, you had like four forwards at times throughout the match. I mean, looking at Wilson making his debut for Spurs, he was busy. He had a lot of energy. He was attempting to take on his fullback, and he was up against the young Everton fullback. What was his name again? Let me just tell you, Quinn. Roman Quinn, that was it. And I think Roman Quinn played quite well. And I would say Wilson didn't get the better of him. And I just wanted to bring up some data about his, let's have a look now, his take-ons, his attempted take-ons, because he did look to take on a man. And if we look at his stats in the game, so we have take-ons, Wilson, he attempted 6 take-ons through the game, and only 2 were successful. In regards to creating chances, or he didn't contribute in this game to any goals or assists. His crossing wasn't fantastic, and he did have a shot, and I think it skied over. But he's a young man. It's his debut playing at Spurs. I want to see him, play in this team. He's a winger that offers us something different to what we have. He seems to have a lot of confidence, and let's see how he gets on. Let's see if he gets a run of games. There's some tough games ahead coming up, so I'm interested to see how he gets on. Again, I would say other players. I mean, Brendan Johnson, and again, he didn't really contribute to much in that game. I'm just trying to think if he did anything. Did he have a chance? I've got a strange feeling he did. Let me just look at the stats of the game on shots, on attempted shots. Let's have a look. Passes, carries, take-ons, shots. Here we go. Let's have a little look. Brendan Johnson. He did have one chance in the game, which was off the target from a header. I can't remember it. Something's telling me he did have a chance, but I can't remember it. So again, he didn't really offer anything throughout the game, and Ange kept him on the game, on the team. He didn't sub him. And I think part of that is just to try and give him some confidence and do something in the game, get a goal, get an assist, because he's a player who looks like he's not playing with any confidence right now. He's a player who looks like he's got a lot of pressure on his back. Maybe he's listening into what all the Spurs fans are saying about him. He's not good enough. He shouldn't be in the Spurs forward line. But he against Leicester, non-existent, and again against Everton, really didn't contribute much, and he was disappointing. And I think moving forward, we need to, when Solanke gets back in the side, move Wilson on the right and Son on the left. So we'll see. We'll see if Johnson makes the next game against Newcastle. Let's have a little look at some other stats and some performances of other players which I enjoyed. So let's start off with Basuma, who scored a fantastic goal, and it was actually his first goal for Spurs in the Premier League. So he looked really sharp. He was good. He was all over the place. I mean, there was talk. So I've heard kind of contradicting opinions on his performance. Some people have said he was fantastic. Other people said, well, actually, he did give the ball away a bit. So I want to have a look at his pass completion on the day and see what it was. So if we're looking at the data for his Basuma, he had 80 passes, 74 were completed, so a passing accuracy of 92.5, which I think is pretty good. And if I get time, I'm going to have a look at other Premier League midfielders at the weekend and see what their kind of passing accuracy was, and just compare them to Basuma. Overall, I think Basuma was good. Yeah, he did give the ball away a couple of times, and if it was against better opposition, we probably would have got punished. But it was his first game of the season, and I thought he was good. And you've got to remember, he wasn't playing with Sarr or Bentancur. He was playing alongside two attacking midfielders, so he had a lot to do. I think he had to cover a lot of ground, and to top it off with his performance, he got a goal, which was really nice to see. So fair play to him after his crazy balloon incident, and just giving him a chance to get him back in the team. And he played well, but all of this, it's about Everton. Everton, as I said about them, they just weren't good. They were very poor, and a home game against Everton, these are the games we must win, and we must score goals, and we must beat them well. And Spurs did, so fair play to Spurs. It's hard to really criticise the Spurs performance. I mean, coming on in the second half, there were some changes. Let me get them up. So we saw the first change was Richarlison. He came on for Wilson. Son, I think, then went out to the left. We saw Papasar come on for Kulusevski on 67 minutes. I'm going to go back to Kulusevski in a minute because I want to look a little bit more into his performance. We saw Archie Gray come on the 73rd minutes for Basuma. Spence came on for Destiny on the left. Udogie had quite a good game. I don't think he put much wrong. And I like the link up on that left side with Udogie, Maddison and Wilson. More to come from that side. Let's see how they get on moving forward. And then you had on the 79th minute Bergvall coming on for Maddison. Yeah, the players coming on, there wasn't anything spectacular for them. It was good for especially the young guys to come in and play a first Premier League game in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So that was good. But yeah, tidy, nothing spectacular. As I said, Everton really were quite poor. They did have Jesper Lindstrom. He came on and he had a good shot, and that was the only save Corey had to make. But other than that, it didn't offer anything at all. Everton in that game, they were very, very disappointing. So let's go back to Kulusevski. I missed him when I was talking about the data. Let's have a little look at his performance. It's just some data around shooting, passing. Let's just see what it comes up with. Let's have a look now. So we have Kulusevski. He had 29 touches in the game, played 66 minutes, passes 20, so didn't have a lot of the ball. 20 completed passes out of 23, and his completion rate was 87. Progressive passes 3. Carries, this is an interesting one. 15 carries. Excessive take-ons, he had four attempted take-ons, 2 successful. I thought There was one run in the second half, which I've seen a clip on Twitter of him taking the ball up, moving it up, pick it up in the midfield. He nutmegged someone. I think he'd ended up getting a corner. And that reminded me of the old Kulu in his first season for Spurs. And for me, Kulusevski, the jury's still out. I do agree that he is much better in that more of a central role. But if you saw the game, he was drifting out to the right as well. So it wasn't like central. He was kind of drifting to the right side of the pitch, and then you had Johnson there kind of stretching it out a bit more. And I liked his performance, and if he can do that on a consistent basis, I mean, I'm not sure if Ange is going to always play Maddison and Kulusevski together, but in the home games against certain teams, I think it's good. I think it's good to go attacking like that, have an extra body in there who can create, score, take on players. He's a strong player. And let's see how that goes for the rest of the season. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, if we need what's it called? A goal scoring midfielder, and he got the most goals for Spurs from midfield or on the right last season with 8. So let's see if he can improve on that. Are we going to see him more consistent in the team, playing that kind of that number 10, number 8, whatever you want to say, attacking midfield role with Maddison alongside him? We'll see. Let's see how he gets on. I'm interested to see if he starts against Newcastle, if Ange is going to keep the same team, or is he going to bring in Sarr? He's going to bring Bentancur back in. It's at least Ange is experimenting, doing something a bit different, and that's nice to see. There is a lot more tactical analysis on Spurs' attacking play. I'm not going into that now. There are some really good videos out on YouTube who cover that. I'm going to have a look at it myself. I haven't had a chance yet, but what I hear and what I've seen is that Spurs did do something different in an attacking sense. And I'm going to go and have a look at that and see what that is in a bit more detail. But again, it is the inverted fullbacks, the high line. And another thing as well, the goals we scored, they weren't the usual low cross into the box. So maybe we are learning some new moves, and it was good to get a goal from a set piece. I think I've really covered this game now. It was a good performance. Again, don't get too excited. Don't get too carried away. It was only Everton, and we should be beating Everton, at home. But it was good to get 3 points after dropping points at Leicester, and give us a kick on for the next game. And the next 2 games are really tough. Newcastle away and Arsenal at home. So cool. We got it all to look forward to. And them 2 tests are the games I'm going to be looking at to see if Spurs are improving this season, or is it going to be much of the same as last year? And particularly the Newcastle away one. This one worries me more than a home game against Arsenal, because what's happened to us in the last 2 times at St James's Park, where we got absolutely battered in both games. The second game last season, the first one under Ange, was a bit different. It wasn't a battering in the first 10-15 minutes, but it was similar mistakes, getting caught out. And that was again when Van der Ven probably had his worst game in a Spurs shirt. It was unlike him to just fall over and get beaten so easily. So, shall I go talk about it now, Newcastle? No, I'm going to save it, because I want to spend a bit more time talking about that game, which is coming up on Sunday at 1:30. But all these games are coming. They're going to come thick and fast now. And it's football all go now. The Premier League is starting to really get going. So I think that's it. I'm going to leave that here about Spurs. 4-0, good result. Let's see if we can keep that going in the next game. We got the transfer window coming. Not long now. We're at the 27th, so a few days away until that shuts. Let's touch on a little bit about that. Nothing really going on. I've been looking on social media. It doesn't look like we're going to bring anyone in. It looks like we're going to get a couple out. There was something today. I don't know who it was. I can't remember, but they turned around and said that there could be a bigger player leaving Spurs, and then we might have to get a replacement. I wonder who they were talking about. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if there's much truth in it. I think it was from The Athletic. They're talking about Lo Celso and Reguilon being moved on, and then potentially a more of a first team player, big player, going. Who is that? I think I saw something that people said it might be Richarlison. Wow, we'll have to wait and see in the next few days. Alistair Gold, he said that there could be something. There could be some movement near the end of the transfer window. Opportunities, any opportunities coming up in the market on the final couple of days that Spurs can grab bargains. Maybe we'll get another Van der Vaart. Well, I wish we could, but I doubt it. But let's see who if we do get any more. And I saw another thing today that they're still happy with Gray and Bergvold's contribution in midfield, and it sounds like they're going to get a bit more game time. So the hope I had for getting that experienced midfield over, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And what we have now is what we're going to have for the rest of the season. And I have my doubts. I've talked to death about it, my concerns. I'm not going to go on it about it anymore. People are probably sick of hearing it, but this is what we got now. We've got to get behind them, and there's a lot of discussion around it all, and I'll be coming back to that throughout the season and picking up on my predictions and how I think the season's going to go. So that's that wrapped up now. I'm going to just touch on some of the other Premier League games from the weekend. There's a couple there I've made some notes about, some observations about, which I'm going to pay a particular attention to. And those two games are going to be, it was the first game of the weekend. I think it was the first game. Manchester United versus Brighton. Yeah, it was a 12:30 kickoff. So let me just get my notes up on that game. That game I wanted to talk about a little bit more because of particularly Brighton. Now Brighton have got a new young manager coming. Let me have a vape before I move on to this one. Have a little bit of a break. We're talking a lot, so yeah, let me just catch my breath. I've got to relax a bit, it's quite late now. Doing this upload. Let's have a little drink in a minute. It's been a busy day. Let's have a drink. So, Brighton versus Manchester United. It was a late goal from their striker. Oh man, what's his name now? Let me get his name up on my screen. Make sure I get the names right. Here we go. So we had late goal from Joel Pedro, who had quite a good season last year for Brighton. First, I think he scored against Spurs last year. It's quite a good player. Good price as well. Brighton got him for. So yeah, just wind it back a bit. We saw what I remember of the game is it was raining, wasn't it? It was really coming down with rain. When I was listening, it was the commentators were talking about it really wet. The game wasn't the best game. I think Man United may have edged it in the first half until Welbeck scored. Then second half starts and Dalot gets a deflected goal in, equaliser, Man United back in it. And then Man United had a disallowed goal. There was chances either end. I think Brighton, looking at the stats, I think they edged the stats they did. They had 14 shots, 5 on target. Man United had 11 shots, 4 on target. That's fairly the same. I think Brighton edged it with better chances, but then Man United did have that goal disallowed. I think they have a couple disallowed. I think Rashford had his goal disallowed in the first half, and the second half they had I think they had another goal disallowed. I could be wrong there. Yeah, I think they did have another goal. It was they did. It was Garnacho. I think it was going in from the left, and then it came off Xerxes' knee, so it was disallowed. It's a bit unlucky there. But Man United, their defence, I know they didn't have their best defence, and Maguire got a lot of blame. I get that. He was ball watching for the first goal from Brighton. So let's just get me up my notes of some observations of that game. Yeah, and if you look at the XG, Brighton was 2.12, Man United was 1.42. Brighton did have the better chances, even though Man United did have a couple of disallowed goals. I looked at Man United's performance, and there was some encouraging wing play. And that Dalot looks a good player, a lot of potential there, making an impact in the team. I just want to talk about Rashford. I mean, he's such a frustrating player. I see Rashford as a player who plays more on instinct. And what I mean about that is that he's a sort of player who he needs to have a chance and not have much time to think about it. Like he comes on the end of something, or he's one-on-one with a player and he's around the box and he can get a shot away, and he can be lethal. But when you're getting, I think Ten Hag and whatever he's trying to do at Man United, playing possessive football, high press football, dominate games, he needs his wingers to be intelligent. And it's a bit of a comparison to some of the Spurs wingers in some way as well. But Rashford he just don't have that football intelligence, and I think it must frustrate Ten Hag and of course all the Man United fans. Some of his performance, sometimes he can be great. I've seen him score goals against Manchester City in derbies. He's just not consistent enough, and I just don't think he's that player who's really going to be dangerous, throughout the game and really do some good link-up play. Yeah, I'm sure he does at moments to have some good link-up play, but generally he just does not look like a player who can really rely on and who's really going to kind of help Man United be better this season. So we'll see about that. Man United, they've signed quite a few players, and as I said in past videos, they have signed more experienced players. Today I've heard they're signing Ugarte. So the board, the new consortium coming in to, provide Man United with more money and investment, I really are backing Ten Hag. They're giving him a lot of players and experienced players as well. Yes, I know their young centre back they've signed unfortunately got injured. I'm sure he's going to get into the team. De Ligt's not starting yet. It's the second game. I'm surprised. I thought he would be in there. They're relying back on Maguire. And it's the same old thing with Man United. They don't look ready yet. It's early. It's the second game of the season, and I'm sure they will get better. How better that is, I don't know. You've got to get these new players up to scratch. They need to start playing with a centre forward as well. Again, they played Fernandes, Mount kind of false nines. So I just don't think it works. They need to get a forward up there and to hold the ball up. So Man United's just, Brighton away, it's a tricky game. Man United's record against Brighton over the last few seasons, they've really been battered, I think, against Brighton. So it's a tricky game, and Brighton started well. They got a good 3-0 win at Everton last weekend, and it's no easy game. It's not an easy team to play against. They play with a lot of energy, and there was something I saw on I think it was on X, some kind of website that the running Brighton did to compare to Man United was a lot more. They ran a lot further. They're a fit side, and yeah, they're going to be a problem for some teams this season. And their forward line is looking good, and they've just signed another player from Leeds. I think it's Rudiger. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But they've got, and Welbeck he's played in the Premier League but this is like 10th season or something, could be more, and he's getting goals, and they're a dangerous side. Matoma seems to be back in form. Didn't have the best of seasons last year because I think he got injured. But yeah, they got a lot of attacking players, and they've just signed Matt O'Reilly from Celtic. Is a player that I've spoken about on my channel that I thought that Spurs could buy, goals and assists. Fantastic player for Celtic. They've brought him in now. And there's also another player they're close to bringing in as well. I can't remember who it is, but yeah, Brighton, they're signing players. I think I heard one of their midfielders is going out, and the young Scottish lad, I forgot his name now. He did play the other day. What's his name now? Let's just get the lineup from the weekend. Yeah, Billy Gilmore. I think Napoli want him. I don't think the manager wants him to go. I don't know if that's going to go through there. But yeah, Brighton is a team you have to watch this season, and they're going to be tricky to play against. And I think Spurs are playing them quite soon as well. So a game I'll be intrigued to see how we get on against. So yes, just to summarise the game or the match, and just my thoughts on both teams. Manchester United, they've spent big. I've got a lot of expectation for them this season under Ten Hag. If anyone saw the show I did last week, the penalty box, when we heard from the Man United fan and Arsenal and Chelsea fans on that channel, on that show, discussing their thoughts on Man United and what they need to do and the expectations. They really have to step it up this year. We have to see a consistent style of play from them. They've got to be better, much better than last season. Yes, they've got one defeat away to Brighton. It can happen, but they need to pick it up fast. Let me have a little look and see if they're playing next. Quite an interesting thought there. See a look at the weekend's games. Who they've got coming up. 31st of August, Manchester United. Looks like they're playing, oh my Jesus, well, yeah, they're playing Liverpool at home. What a tough game that is. We'll talk about Liverpool in a bit. Yeah, big game at Old Trafford. Wow, yeah, that's a big Super Sunday game, and that's a game after the Tottenham Newcastle game. So Super Sunday, here we go. Two big matches there. I didn't realise that game was happening so soon. So the other game I wanted to have a little bit of focus on, I'm not going to cover all of the Premier League games like this, but there's just a couple I just wanted to focus on. I'm going to do one more, and then I'll just touch on the other games, just have a quick little synopsis on my thoughts on them. Villa 0, Arsenal 2. Now, what I saw of that game, I thought Villa played well. They created some really good chances, and they just weren't clinical enough. What's his name? The forward up front. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening to my memory. Sorry, let me just get the game up. Ollie Watkins. Sorry, guys, that's madness. How could I not remember his name? But yeah, Ollie Watkins. Now, if it was him last season, I remember he scored at the Emirates, got the winner. He normally would score those goals. But then again, I hear that he is a sort of striker who normally needs 5 or 6 chances to score. And in that game against Arsenal, we weren't going to get 5 or 6 chances. Maybe there's something in that, I don't know. But yeah, he didn't take. He had 2 good chances. It was a fantastic save from David Raya in that second half. Let me just get their game up. Just a little bit more detail on that. So I can bring up their stats and kind of tie it all in together, what I'm talking about. It ended 2-0. Goals from Trossard and Partey. Saka assist. Just get my notes up. So yeah, I just think Villa they played well. Arsenal weren't as free flowing as they normally are, or dominating as they normally are. I'm just going to have a look at the stats in a minute. But Arsenal, they did hang in there. They did defend well and made a sub. I think Trossard came on and made an immediate impact and got a well-taken goal. It was just so clinical. The ball came to him and he just put it away. And in games like this, if you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. And Villa, they didn't take their chances, even though I thought they played pretty well in the game. Arsenal hung in there, got a bit lucky and scored and punished them. Another player stood out for Villa was that Rodgers, and he did get a lot of praise from a lot of people after that performance. I've seen the clips on X of his performance. Obviously, I saw some of the game myself. He looked good. He was really giving Partey and Rice a real run for their money. He was running past them, trying to create and score goals. He was good, very good, and is a player to watch this season. A lot of talent there. So looking at the Villa side and who they signed the bloke from Everton, Onana, big strong presence in there. I saw him running past the Arsenal players. They couldn't get him off the ball. They have, we've got Watkins. Let me have a look at their squad. I like to kind of delve into the lineup and who they got on the bench. And I think they signed quite well this summer. I saw Barkley come on in 76 minutes. It's a good little signing from last season because he played well for Luton. Looking at the bench, Jacob Ramsey, he was linked with Spurs, wasn't he? Not long ago. Buendia, he seemed to be back. He had that long layoff last season, and he was a talented player for Villa. Maybe we'll see more of him. Looking at the Villa bench, I don't know if they've got some injuries, but it's not that strong. They signed Maatsen from Chelsea. We've got Diego Carlos as a centre-back, Barkley, John Duran, who came on, a young striker there who West Ham were trying to sign, I think. I don't know about that. I have to look at it. Is there a few players missing from that Villa squad? Because it doesn't look that strong, especially when they were playing in the Champions League this season. I know they got rid of their good midfielder who went to Juventus, and also the winger that they signed, who only had one season last year, Diaby, he got moved on. Maybe they're going to have a bit more action in the transfer market in the next few days. But I've kind of lost my trail of thought now what I was going on about. But back to the match. Arsenal, let's get the stats up of the game. Arsenal did dominate the ball. Villa 39.3% possession. Arsenal 60.7% possession. Aston Villa with 11 shots, 3 on target. Arsenal with 9 shots, 4 on target. Fairly even in regards to stats. Villa did get the better of Arsenal last season, and I think they beat them twice, home and away. So it was a good result for Arsenal. A tough game for Arsenal, and maybe it kind of helped that it was early in the season. Maybe Villa weren't total up to speed. Again, as I said, they missed some good chances. I'm sure Villa will come back strong, and because they did get a good win, didn't they? I think it was away to West Ham in the first game of the season. So yeah, they can't get too down about that. And Arsenal now, that's 2 wins out of 2. Again, just nothing spectacular, but they were clinical, took their chances well. Arsenal, let's look at their fixtures coming up for the weekend. I think they've got Brighton at home. They got Brighton at home. That's an interesting fixture. So anyone who's doing fantasy football, got any Brighton players in there? Maybe looking to add Brighton players to their fantasy football team. They might have to think again. Good game. There's some really good fixtures coming up this weekend, and that's not going to be a straightforward match for Arsenal. Good test, especially in Brighton, who are they're looking confident at the moment. New manager, new ideas. Good test for Arsenal, and then good test for Brighton to see how they're progressing under the new manager. I think that was it. I was going to cover on that match. If there's any other highlights, I don't think so. Let's have a look. The last game I was going to touch on was Liverpool. Not so much detailed analysis on that game. Just want to touch on a bit because of Liverpool obviously changing manager, slightly change of play system, I guess. And they got a win at the weekend. They won 2-0 at home to Brentford. I wanted to also talk about the Chelsea match as well. Yeah, that's another game I wanted to talk about a little bit about. Liverpool 2, Brentford 0. Goals from Diaz in the first half, 13 minutes. Salah in the second half, 70 minutes. 2 well-taken goals. Now, I've had a bit of a mixed reaction from this performance. Looking at it, 2-0, clean sheet, second game of the season. Brentford, they haven't got Tony. He's not in the team. I think, is it a tricky game? Maybe if it was at Brentford, I think Liverpool at home, first game of the season, I think I would have fancied Liverpool to win that fairly comfortably. I heard, and I don't know where it was, I was listening to saying, I think it was the old bloody Sky Sport presenters who are on another channel abroad. Gray, is it Keys and Gray? And they were talking about, well, the Anfield fans are not going to be too happy if they have to see this every week. And what I heard from that was that maybe they were just, Liverpool weren't so gung-ho as like they are under Klopp, maybe a little bit more, taking their time with passing the ball, keeping the game under control. I mean, there was some kind of stat came out there about passing accuracy for Liverpool, and it was like very high, the highest it's been for a long time. Measured performance. Liverpool did have chances and some good chances. And if I look at the stats for the home team, they were good. It doesn't really translate to what people have said. Like they had 19 shots, 8 on target. That's good. For me, that's good. Brentford had 8 shots, 2 on target. The new manager's come in. He's going to have a different way of playing. They haven't signed anyone. But I think Liverpool will be good this year. I think they have got a good manager. And maybe they'll add 1 or 2 by the end of the window. They were linked to Chiesa today. Liverpool are definitely going to be up there. They've got a lot of experience. They've got a very good forward line, lots of bodies in midfield, good defence. I think they're definitely going to be up there. Will they win the league? I don't know. But they're definitely going to be in and around that top 3. Yeah, top 3, 4. We'll see how they progress throughout the season. So, yeah, some kind of interesting discussion around Liverpool and that the fans are going to get a bit impatient. I don't know. We'll see about that. The Liverpool fans will be happy if they're winning. And, Salah, like Son at the weekend, still got his finishing. Such a good finish that was, the way he scored that. Fantastic. And I have those 2 guys in my fantasy football team, Salah and Jota. And, they're getting me points. I had Solanke in the team in my fantasy football, but I had to take him out because he got injured. But, I will probably pop him back in. And I put him Gakpo for Solanke, and Gakpo, he had a really good chance. He could have scored, he hit the bar. So that's a bit unlucky because I could have got some more points out of that. But yeah, that's it on the Liverpool games. The last game I'm going to talk about before I wrap up this stream is the Chelsea match. So yeah, let me just get that up on screen, get the data on that game, because it was a standout game. Chelsea scoring 6 goals away from home, but there's a little bit more to the story to that, and it's not so Chelsea are fantastic and all that. They finally what's it called now? There's a word for it. Bloody hell, it's getting late. I forgot. But they hit their groove. They're going to be ready. Let me just get their data up quickly. Or the game data, sorry. Yeah, so it starts first half, 2-2, really quite end-to-end game. Chances from both sides. Wolves got a late equaliser in that first half, 2-2. Poor defended from Chelsea. Let's have a look. Well, what intrigued me about Wolves' started lineup is that they were a little bit weak in distraction. Yeah, looking at the Wolves team, somewhat unrecognisable names in their defence. They were very poor defensively, Wolves, especially in that second half. And whoever's playing left back, is it Totti Gomez? He got done so many times by Mweke in that second half. The same goal, and Wolves, they fell apart. And Chelsea, they did do well to score their goals. They were good moves. It looked so easy for them. And they got, in the second half, they got 4 goals. That hat trick from Madueke. Joel Felix came on there, new signing. He got a goal. Cole Palmer, 3 assists. Neto, did he start Neto? Let me have a look. Neto, no, he came on at 46 minutes for a very poor Mudryk. Yeah, he was involved. And you look at that performance, and Wolves they matched them in the first half, 2-2. But second half, Chelsea, they just blew them away. And even the kind of, if you look at the stats, Wolves 12 shots, 4 on target. Chelsea 14 shots, 8 on target, which is good away from home. They were clinical, Chelsea. They took their chances well. And then you start to think, well, everybody's doesn't really know how Chelsea season's going to go. There's so many squad players. How they're going to kind of limit it down to the number 25. Lacking a striker, I think, and most people think. But when you start to look at their attacking players and who they could bring on, you've got Nkunku there. He didn't do anything in that match, but they have a lot of attacking players. Yeah, they're in this probably they need a really good striker, and Jackson did score. They've spent so much money, and it's not going to be kind of a surprise that sometimes they're going to get these kind of results, because they do have a talented team. And the key thing with Chelsea, and look, don't get me wrong, I don't want them to do anything. Chelsea's one of our biggest rivals. I want them to fail. But I'm talking football here, and I look at all sorts of things, all different teams, and I give my honest opinion on it. That manager, he's coming out a lot in the press, keeping strong, taking players out of the squad. He thinks it's not going to fit his system. In kind of the way he's managing, his new manager, setting the boundaries, coming in, dropping players like Chilwell out the squad. Gallagher's gone now to Atletico Madrid. Sterling dropped from the squad, and Sterling's must be trying to get a move away now. He's making some decisions, the new manager. And that second half, now, is it Chelsea's talent that got the win? Or is it Wolves, and Wolves is just poor defending, or just completely just losing the plot? And Gary O'Neill apologised to the fans after the game. If I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be getting carried away yet. Yes, fantastic result, 6-2, 6 goals away from home against Wolves, and I thought Wolves were good last year. But looking at their lineup, as I said, they've lost some players. They've lost Neto. I think they've lost a couple of centre backs. They sold one to West Ham. That defence, for me, I recognise it. Matt Doherty, I think. I mean, yeah, he's not that great anymore. players like Craig Dawson coming on. I just think Wolves, they've been hit a bit with losing some players. I don't think they've signed anyone amazing. I think another player from Portugal, Gomez. I don't know. I think Wolves, it's a hard one. I liked Gary O'Neill last season. As I said, like Wolves did us twice last season with some good tactical play. And then they had Neto then as well. Wolves have to be careful. They need to get back on track. Let me see who they're playing at the weekend. Wolves playing Nottingham Forest away. Yeah, bit of a tricky game, bit of a derby there. No, sorry, not a derby, but a bit of a battle there. They can win it. We'll see. And then Chelsea are playing on the Sunday at home to Palace. And Palace have not made a great start to the season. I think they've lost both games, or definitely haven't got points in their games. Let me look at the table. Palace now. Yeah, two defeats. And after such a good kind of second half of the season from them with their new manager, Glasner. So, that's a tough game for them. And let's see if this is a different Chelsea team, because normally, Chelsea last season, where they were getting a good result, maybe away to City and getting a draw. And then they would play a home game against a lower opposition and they would lose. So let's see if Chelsea follow that good win with another good win. So for me, and I think a lot of Chelsea fans, a lot of fans from rivals, the jury's out on Chelsea still to see if they can get a settled side, get a bit of consistency in there. But definitely they have a lot of talent. They definitely have. And as a Spurs fan, and it's kind of like, it's an interesting conversation because Chelsea have spent billions, millions, billions, whatever you want to say. And Spurs, very cautious in the transfer market. Only one big signing in Solanke and bringing in a load of kids. Just so different, isn't it? So different. I'd love to have some of their players come to Spurs and they would do well. But it's so different. And Chelsea last season, they did come okay at the end and did get consistency results, but then Pochettino left and we're back to the drawing board again. So crazy. That's all I'm really going to talk about with the Chelsea game. And I think that's what I'm going to end my stream today. Blimey, it's gone on like an hour and 3 minutes. I spoke about quite a lot. Whoever watches it, hope you enjoy it. A little bit different today, kind of talking about, not just the Spurs match, other Premier League fixtures. Please put any comments, anything you want to say about what I've said. And I'll see you all guys soon. So come on, you Spurs.